You don't matter. That's what I got from this clip. And not only do you not matter, how dare you form your lips to question. Now, normally I would not torture you. I don't torture you on this show with clips, particularly those of Joe Biden. I know it doesn't translate well, especially for the people that watch the show or listen to this show in an audio format. This is President Joe Biden at a press conference.
Thanks, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I wanted to sort of address or ask about attention that's sort of been in this press conference on unifying the country, because you campaigned on two things. One of them is being able to accomplish big things, and the other is the ability to unify the country. And even today, you've talked about sort of a different posture with Republicans. And I wonder if you still think it's possible to do both of those things.
We have to. We have to. I mean, as long as I hold public office, I'm going to continue to attempt to do both things.
One more follow-up. Around this time last year when you were campaigning in Georgia, I think one of the things you told people was the power is literally in your hands. You know, if voters give Democrats the House and the Senate and the presidency, that all these big things can get accomplished. And, you know, we've seen stalemate, we've seen things being stymied. Why should folks believe you this time around?
Can you think of any other president's done as much in 1 year? Name one for me.
I'm asking you.
I'm serious. You guys talk about how nothing's happened. I don't think there's been much on any incoming president's plate that's been a bigger menu than the plate I had given to me. I'm not complaining. Knew that running in. And the fact of the matter is we got an awful lot done. An awful lot done. And there's more to get done. But look, let me ask a rhetorical question. No, I won't. Anyway. Okay. Thank you.
Joe Biden was asked, why should people vote for you, Joe Biden? And his response, if you listen very closely, was to fold his arms. He folded his arms like a petulant little child, like a defiant, bully, petty, above you, high-stepping, rich-ass, old-ass white man who ain't got to answer shit. He proceeded to tell the reporter who was asking a question that all of Joe Biden's constituency should be concerned about as we approach 2024. And he said, who's done as much as me? Name a president who has done as much as me. He doesn't name what he's done himself. Folks, I don't think Joe Biden knows what Joe Biden has done. I don't think Joe Biden has the faintest, foggiest, least idea of what the fuck he's done that would make people vote for him. He's not complaining. No, he's not complaining. He is poo-pooing on you for having the audacity to question him. He is Joe Biden. He is your daddy. For some of y'all, he is your zaddy. This condescending, high-stepping, neoliberal bullshit, this condescending, high-stepping, liberal elitist bullshit, this condescending, high-stepping, Republican bullshit. It doesn't matter what title you put on it. At the end of the day, it is those that have looking down on us and saying, you don't matter. That's what I got from this clip. And not only do you not matter, how dare you form your lips to question anything. You should be kissing the ground that I walk on. Now, in this next clip, Joe Biden is going to be asked very specific questions about the people that he says put him in office.
Russia will be. And I don't think he's made up his mind yet.
I want to ask you about your domestic agenda. You've gotten a lot of questions about voting rights, Mr. President, but I want to ask you about black voters, one of your most loyal constituencies.
Yep.
I was in Congressman Clyburn's district yesterday in South Carolina. You opened this news conference talking about him. I spoke to a number of black voters who fought to get you elected, and now they feel as though you are not fighting hard enough for them and their priorities. And they told me they see this push on voting rights more as a last-minute PR push than it is a legitimate effort to get legislation passed. So what do you say to these black voters who say that you do not have their backs, as you promised on the campaign trail?
I've had their back. I've had their back my entire career. I've never not had their back. And I started on the voting rights issues long, long ago. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. And I think part of the problem is, look, there's significant disagreement in every community on whether or not the timing of assertions made by people has been in the most timely way. So I'm sure that there are those who are saying that why didn't Biden push John Lewis bill as hard as he pushed it the last month? Why didn't he push it 6 months ago as hard as he did now? The fact is that there's a timing that is not of one's own choice. It's somewhat dictated by events that are happening in country and around the world and what the focus is. But part of the problem is, as well, I have not been out in the community nearly enough. I've been here an awful lot. I find myself in a situation where I don't get a chance to look people in the eye because of both COVID and things that are happening in Washington, to be able to go out and do the things that I've always been able to do pretty well. Connect with people. Let them take a measure of my sincerity. Let them take a measure of who I am. For example, I mean, as I pointed out in South Carolina, last time when I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, I got the Voting Rights Act extended for 25 years, and I got Strom Thurmond to vote for it. That's what I've been doing my whole career. And so the idea that I didn't either anticipate or because I didn't speak to it as fervently as they want me to earlier. In the meantime, I was spending a lot of time, spent hours and hours and hours talking with my colleagues on the Democratic side, trying to get them to agree that if in fact this occurred, if this push continued, that they would be there for John Lewis. And anyway, so, but I think that's a problem that is my own making by not communicating as much as I should have. Yet you find that when you deal with members of the Black Caucus and others in the United States Congress, I still have very close working relationships. So it's like every community. I'm sure that there are those in the community, and I'm a big labor guy. I'm sure there's people in labor saying, why haven't I been able to do A, B, C, or D? So it's just going to take a little bit of time.
He didn't say a damn thing that was worth hearing, Johnson. Nothing that he said made any logical sense. He was on both sides of everything. It's not his fault, but it is his fault. It's all due to the timing of what's going on in the world, and it's also due to him. not taking the time. Oh, it's because it's cold outside, but it's hot sometimes. So sometimes when it's cold outside, we don't get around like we need to get around because then it's hot. And then we wait till it get hot and it's too hot to be outside. Just a bunch of nonsense. He says he's always had our back. He's always had the blacks' back. No, Joe Biden has always stood on the backs of the blacks. Joe Biden has spent his whole career on the backs of blacks, propping himself up. Look, I'm one of those people that looked at it differently with him and Barack Obama. I felt that Joe Biden used Barack Obama. He stood on the back of the black. That's all he did. We got a bunch of water-carrying morons and other people who mean well who don't know shit. And that's a compliment in this particular situation, the way I mean it. Because maybe that does mean that you're not heinous. But I think it was pretty evident that what Joe Biden had done actually was wedge himself in as the separationist loving white guy that he was and is, and made himself useful to Barack Obama, and thus using that black to stand on that black's back, and it worked. You know, people wanted to frame it as if Joe Biden was such a catalyst and helper to Barack Obama. At the end of the day, it's obvious based on the fact he's president after losing twice, really a third time. Be that as it may. He says, I always had the backs of the blacks. I've always had your back, and I've always been there for you. And the problem is he hasn't been able to go around and listen to your complaints so he could dismiss them in person and look you in the eye and squeeze your hand and kiss you black women on the forehead and tell you, quiet, I got this. And then schmooze with the old ones amongst you, the old blacks who are easily influenced by BS, and then tell some meandering, stupid, offensive, bigoted, pointless, unhelpful ass stories that for some reason the brain dead amongst you will gobble up as being folksy and down to earth. That's really what Joe Biden's been unable to do lately. But see, he's been able to do it. I think he's chosen not to do it because there are younger, smarter people coming up who see right through the bullshit. And they are not going for it. So it doesn't pay the dividends, the huge dividends it used to pay for him to meander with these talking points, pointless, embarrassing, swirling, condescending, aimless, no GPS having ass stories, run out of gas on the way through, no damn gas bucket in the back. No gas can. No gas can. Gotta call AAA or an Uber. Storylines. This pain in the ass windbag wants to pontificate on and on and on. He also wants you to know he hasn't lost all of the CBC members that blatantly kiss his ass, though he refuses to do anything specifically for black people. And it was all, look, I want you all to remember, this is all on the backdrop of a guy who some would say was the architect of mass incarceration, who boosted the crack laws, the crime bills, civil asset forfeitures, student loans, student debt. The bankruptcy laws crippled those with student loans. The sentencing reforms. This was the guy with the mandatory minimums. And a lot of people were saying back when he was running, what's Joe Biden going to do to reverse all this? He's done all this damage to the black community specifically. as he courted the segregationists, as he hung out with segregationists like Eastland and Strom Thurmond, who felt that black people openly, he was hanging out with these people when these people were in their prime, when they were openly on the Senate floor saying that black people were inferior. Joe Biden was courting them in order to have power to sit on and be granted seats on committees that they could give him access to. There's some that are watching this video, or some people that may watch it, if I get any reach at all, who will say, Tim, this is all old news. Why are you bringing any of this up? What does this have to do with now? It's because the character of the man was revealed so many moons ago, and you chose to ignore it. And now you say the leopard will change his spots, and those spots ain't changing. He's still talking down to black people. He's still talking out both sides of his neck like he's always done. Here goes a little clip of Joe Biden, 1989's Joe Biden.
Hard to believe, but this very day, violent drug offenders will commit more than 100,000 crimes on this day alone. And the sad part is that we have no more police in the streets of our major cities than we had 10 years ago. And what the president proposes won't help much. What he proposes is no increase over what the Congress has already approved last year. In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs, not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them, and not enough prison cells to put them away for a long time.
That was Joe Biden chastising Bush. Yeah, he's chastising the Republican president and saying, you're not tough enough for a crime like I would be. You're not giving long enough sentences. You're not punishing those thugs hard enough. You don't have enough cops cracking heads. You hear them talk all this shit about Trump. They are Trump. Yeah, that doesn't jive with all the bullshit you hear him talk, from Bill Maher to Jon Stewart, any of the rest that weigh in. Real talk. Keith Olbermann. Yeah, it doesn't really jive with reality. In reality, Joe Biden is Donald Trump. Or he was until he got his makeover. This is around the same time that Donald Trump is taking out that ad about the Central Park 5. Listen to Joe Biden. He said the thugs. You're not locking up the thugs quick enough. Scaring all the white people at home. This was live TV. Joe Biden attacking Bush from the right. So back what I said earlier, when I said it doesn't matter about these damn labels, Johnson, when I said don't be coming at me with, are you riding with the Democrats or riding with the Republicans? I'm riding with you. I'm riding with you and I'm riding for you. We may not always do it the exact same way. And there's some of you who don't care about politics. This is a political show. I'm sure there's other channels that don't talk about politics. You're watching the wrong show if you think I should not talk about politics. This is, once again, a political show, Johnson. It's like going to a show about barbecue and saying, why are you talking about barbecue? You know they got Impossible Burgers and we like baking our food. Why don't you steam something? Well, this is a political show. Back to my point. Miss me with the bullshit about Joe Biden. Stop talking to me about what the Democrats going to do. Stop talking to me about what the Republicans are going to do. Let's talk about what we going to make them do. Now, if you think we can't make them do shit, this ain't the show for you. Because on this show, since we cover politics, we have to try to get something out of our politics. If you have other options, pursue them, and I support you in those endeavors. Back to my audience who give a fuck about politics. Joe Biden is horrible. Joe Biden never gave a shit about poor people. Joe Biden has never given a shit about the unions or working people or black people. Not more than what was going to be beneficial for him that would help his career and his own ambitions. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. So when it comes down to voting and saying who's the better or the lesser or the whatever, at the end of the day, Republicans don't scare me because Biden's a Republican and Biden's a Democrat. And I fail to see the difference. The midterms are coming. Make your presence be known. I say let's make our presence be known. And I also say make it your job to help make content like this be known. Everybody's not going to go quietly. There are going to be some of us that are going to push back. I'm one of those people. I believe that Joe Biden's bullshit must be challenged. Someone's got to do it. I will continue to do my job. Will you do yours?